college student gave birth to 2 children in a rental apartment. But when her daughter fell ill, she wasn't sure whether to choose a vet clinic or a children's hospital, because her husband was a werewolf. By the time she discovered the truth, she had already fallen hopelessly in love with him. The girl's name was Annie. At 19, she became pregnant with a wolf's children. To keep her healthy during pregnancy, her husband would hunt wild game every day. They didn't dare go to the hospital, fearing the children's birth would expose their identity. Their daughter Alice was born on a snowy winter day. They were grateful to each other for providing a sense of belonging. The two, deeply in love, cherished their version of ordinary happiness. The following spring, before their son Eric was even a month old, the children's father suddenly disappeared. Seeing his everyday items and wallet by the door, Annie had a terrible feeling. She anxiously took the children to search for him, only to find a wolf's corpse in a drainage ditch. While hunting to provide nutrition for Annie and the children, her husband had died in an accident. In that day's heavy rain, Annie felt her world crumbling around her. She begged to claim her husband's remains, but was coldly refused by the workers. As the sanitation truck slowly drove away, she knelt in the pouring rain, sobbing uncontrollably, unsure how to face the future ahead. From that day on, Annie became a single mother. All her husband left behind was a small amount of money and an ID photo. Looking at the only picture of him she had, she swore to raise their children to adulthood. But for a woman with no income, trying to raise 2 young children, in a city where she knew no one, life was incredibly difficult. Their daughter Alice was energetic and had a huge appetite, constantly demanding food. When excited, she would transform into a wolf, and her wolf nature made destroying things instinctive. Her brother Eric was completely different, shy, timid, and physically weak. Due to his small appetite, he needed feeding every 2 hours to care for both children. Annie had no choice but to drop out of school and quit her part-time job. The family survived solely on the meager savings left by their wolf father. As a first-time mother, Annie was lost. She didn't know how to raise wolf children, and couldn't discuss it with anyone. Only when the children were asleep could she fight exhaustion to research parenting. The children's crying was often loud, leading to angry neighbors at their door. Annie could only spend nights in the park soothing them. One day while walking in the park, Alice got into an argument with a dog. Annie quickly grabbed the children and fled. She knew if their identity was exposed, the consequences would be severe. This was Annie's biggest headache. Every full moon, the children would howl uncontrollably. The landlord came to scold them, refusing to continue renting to them. Child welfare services received reports, claiming she was keeping the children imprisoned, and found no vaccination records. The workers suspected child abuse. Annie could only desperately hold the door shut. In those first days after her husband's death, life was harder than she could have imagined. That night she stayed awake, contemplating the future for her family of 3. The pressure of life became too overwhelming, leading Annie to make a decision. She took her children and left the constraining city for an isolated village in the countryside.